and welcome to Daytime Talk After Dark. My name is Al Jackson, and today that is important because that's right, guys. All week, it's just me. They've abandoned me. I feel like the hosts basically did the same thing that they did to Kevin and what was that movie where they left him Home Alone? Yeah, yeah. They went on vacation and left me in a mansion in Chicago. So, yes, I'm by myself, but not really because I have my thoughts, which is what all people suffering from issues say. But I get to do one of my favorite things, which is answer some of these unpopular opinions because as a comic, I spend a lot of time driving and sitting in airports, and I have a lot of time to think. And that's what these kind of weird question prompts get me to do. So let's start with the first one. And the homie Nick, obviously here at Dude IDK Studios. Where will we be without them? Nowhere is where we'd be. All right, so Nick brought this to me. Should you ever wear pajamas to the hotel lobby breakfast? Let me think about that for a second. No, because you're what we call an adult. I don't know what happened where there's adults wearing pajamas in the airport, which is crazy. Like, pajamas are supposed to be comfortable because you're supposed to be in a place that you are comfortable, AKA your home. You shouldn't be that comfortable in Concourse C. There needs to be like an overall kind of reset for when we are in public. If you want to wear loose flowing clothes, have at it. If you want to wear kind of an old sweatshirt that, is torn but comfortable, have at it. But the idea of wearing pajamas, where I think I got scarred is back early in my career when I used to do a bunch of colleges. You would go do a show, and college shows are so weird because they don't do comedy shows regularly. So some nail it. Sometimes you're at Arizona State, show is at 9 p.m. on a Friday. People know about the show, it's well attended, they laugh, you get paid nicely, and you leave. And then the next day, you are at UNLV, Nevada, Las Vegas. The show is at noon, and the mic is on the floor, and people are getting food, and you're just supposed to go up and start telling jokes. It's college shows are weird, but the thing that's the weirdest about college shows to me is that the students would come to the comedy show wearing pajamas at like 2 in the afternoon. And I'm like, I thought I sound so old, but I thought like, aren't you preparing for life as well as like learning at this institution and like just getting in the habit of just like, oh yeah, Thursday party night. That was pretty rough. I'm gonna have to wear my pajamas until Friday night, and I can start to get things in gear. Like, no, put some pants on. Put some pants on, and I'll tell you why. Because if you're in the hotel lobby and you have on pajamas, I'm not gonna take you seriously, and neither is the hotel staff if you have a problem. You come back downstairs and be like, my sink doesn't work. It's like, whatever, Star Wars nighty. Like, I don't want to hear that from you. You dress appropriately, people respect you. I don't make the rules, but it doesn't make them not the rules. All right, Nick, what else do you have for me? Unpopular opinion. You can have kids before you get married. I don't think that's an opinion at all. I think that's a fact. Um, I think a lot of people have kids before they're married. I think a lot of us are here because somebody had kids before they are married. I think what this question is getting at is should you? I would argue that it's going to be tougher, but when it comes to kids and when it comes to relationships, it's not what people want to hear. But in my 47 years of trying to gather knowledge on the subject, it's a crapshoot. When you get married to somebody, on paper, they're probably your ideal match. You find them physically attractive, you find them intellectually stimulating. You are like, this is my person. This is going to be my life partner. But what we forget is life is long. And how many people were married to some accountant that they loved, but was kind of vanilla, been married 17 years. All of a sudden, he's at dinner talking some QAnon-ish. Now what do you do? What's up with that house in Key West? How's that looking? When you now have a partner that thinks that the government is listening to you through the mailbox. Like, people change, people evolve, and in the movies, you do it together. You walk in and you say, "Honey, let's quit our jobs and go open a beach bar in Cancun." And they go, "I was thinking the same thing. Let's do it." That's not how life works. I mean, let's not give a hypothetical example. Let's talk about my situation. Um, when my ex-wife met me, yes, I was doing stand up, but it was more like I was still a middle school teacher. I think so. Yes, my last year. So she could have been like, "I'm marrying a teacher that likes to have some fun tonight and do tell jokes." Would it be unfair of her to 5 years later, when I'm on the road 38, 42 weeks a year, 32 weeks a year, to say I didn't sign up for this? Would it be wrong for me to say, "Well, I was doing stand up when you met me. I mean, you should assume that my career is gonna ascend because I'm dope." Neither one of us would be wrong in that situation, but I think that's kind of what we're always looking for. We always want the clear, like, that person is wrong and his wife didn't do anything. It might just be a situation in which whatever decision is made, neither party is gonna be super happy. And I think what you should understand going into a marriage is, if you decide to do this and if you decide to lock this down forever, it's not gonna be on your terms. Who are you, Tony Soprano? You don't get to say, "Oh, here's where we're gonna move." If you love this person, you might need to be prepared to move for their job, and it might not be, LA or San Diego or somewhere dope. It might be a small farming town because they work for a company and that's what they do. Now are you in love? Now are you in love? And maybe you are. But what happens is, as we're with our partners, the more we acquiesce to their lifestyle, we are going to resent them, because you will say, "I was loving my life in Chicago. What am I doing here?" And so I think relationships constantly need to be reevaluated in real time, almost on a weekly basis. Like, "Hey, you seem kind of weird at dinner. Let's talk about that. But, do you feel fulfilled in this? I got my job. You work remotely, but do you like the other aspects of your life? I know your sister lives in your old city. How do you feel about that?" Having these conversations, I think we can expect, for my children's generation, the kids that are like roughly 18 now, they're a lot more emotionally intelligent and they don't let things build up and fester. So, from my lips to God's ears. So, next question. I would rather drive in silence than with music playing. As somebody that I can't imagine how many miles I drove, but it was probably close to 10,000, I'm guessing. Yeah, not 10, maybe 5. I would say 95% of it was in silence or listening to daytime talk after dark and listening for funny clips, to possibly cut out. But I don't know, the older that I get, I kind of want my thoughts, and it's weird because I produced an album. It's on Spotify. I'm sure the link will come up because Nick is dope like that. But the name of my group is I Man Block You, and the title of the album is Cadence as a Weapon. And what that music is I wanted to develop what I call foreground music. Like, there's background music that you hear on an elevator, but I wanted music that can play, but like you can still have time to have your thoughts, but it's not silent like you're in solitary confinement. Like, you can have some music playing, but I don't want lyrics like clouding how I'm feeling. If I'm thinking a certain way, I can have some music playing, but I don't want any lyrics. So basically, what I want to do is plug my album, and I did that. And also, silence, very underrated. Speaking of underrated, hot dogs are better than hamburgers and cheeseburgers. I'm going to call this a push. And that means that I think that they are equal because anytime I'm at a backyard event, guess what? I have a hot dog and a hamburger. You eat the hot dog first, that is the hamburger appetizer. Okay. We're grown-ups here. And now the cheese has had enough time to melt onto your bun via the hot patty. And now you have a hamburger. Then you get up to talk to the guy on the grill and he puts another hot dog on your plate. Now you've had two hot dogs and a hamburger in your late 40s in the span of 7 minutes. You start to not feel good. Can't really figure out why. And when you're in the car, your partner goes, did you have 3 hot dogs before we left? And you say, "Don't judge me." So, I will say that I am not going to pick a winner because hot dogs anytime you're in a situation where there are hot dogs and hamburgers available, I think we're all winners. This one I have a problem with. Onion rings are better than french fries. Like, stop it. What was this? The CEO of Outback had this with their bloomin' onion. Onion rings are like, all right, fine, but I don't want more. Do you ever want more than 3 onion rings? They're always gigantic. They always look like those bracelets that you slide down your forearm. It's a lot of times when you bite in, it's either super hot, it's filled with grease, it's all fried. I don't mind that it's fried, but it's so fried you can't notice. You can't help but notice how fried it is. And part of eating poorly is lying to yourself. Like when you eat a burger, you're like, do you see all this lettuce? I'm basically getting on my grains, the meat's the protein, uh, veggies. I'm really like, this could be like my diet. When you're eating onion rings, like you can hear your cholesterol going up. I don't know. Nick, can you really quickly, can you check and see what the caloric count in a blooming onion is? Because I used to look at the caloric count for cheesecakes at the Cheesecake Factory. The double Oreo cookie cheesecake is 1,350 calories. Oh wow. What Nick just put on the screen is so offensive, it might as well have been hardcore porn. It says a standard Outback Steakhouse bloomin' onion. I'm gonna give you guys a chance to guess because whatever you guessed, it's low. 1,950 calories. What are you supposed to have? 3,000 for the day? So if that's all you're eating, I guess that could be a diet. But that's why I respectfully disagree. To my fan bam out there that likes your onion rings, eat your onion rings. I love it when I'm like at Burger King and I get an onion ring with my fries. I'm gonna treat that onion ring with respect, but I don't want a whole bunch of them. You're not gonna feel good. Speaking of not feeling good, whoever posted this, I guarantee you, is out of their mind. They say that beer tastes better at room temperature. Are you crazy? Beer, when I used to drink, for me, served two purposes. One, if it was cheap beer, the kind of beer I like, I'm from Ohio, so like, you know, Miller Lite, whatevs, that was mostly used to chase shots. If I was gonna have a beer, I would do like the IPA. I really didn't know what I was ordering, but I was like, this is a sophisticated beer because it costs $8. So, and it comes in a glass. So I would say that those can be a little bit, they don't have to be ice cold, but the cheaper the beer, the colder it needs to be, straight up, because you're going to have to get it down quickly. Moving on. Unpopular opinion. New York City isn't that glamorous. As somebody that lived in New York City in different parts of the city for 6 years, I'll agree to that with that to an extent. And what I mean by that is, remember that Alicia Keys song, basically like there's a how does it go? What about New York, Nick? What was it? You can do anything you want in New York. How'd it go? N- Yeah, the place for dreams. There's nothing you can't do. And I remember I was living in New York when that song came out, and I was like, "There's so much I can't do right now." I can't go see a play on Broadway. I can't go to a famous steakhouse. I can't get into the opera. There's a lot of things in New York. I can't get into a Michelin-starred restaurant. New York is really just a condensed version of the world where however much money you make, you have, almost an unlimited amount of things to do, but it's only limited by how much capital that you have. So I would say to anybody that says New York City isn't that glamorous, go to New York City with 50 grand to spend for the weekend and you let me know how you like it. Cause I've gone both ways. Well, I haven't gone the 50 grand way, but I've gone the $50 and make it stretch, baby. Shout out to those dollar hot dogs. All right. There is no point to having a social media profile. That's a rough one, bro. And I'll tell you why, because you're giving me a little PTSD because I tried to get away with it. I was very resistant to social media once. It's weird because I was into it and pretty good at it when it was just fun. When Twitter was just kind of a goofy place, I would enjoy going on there, reading jokes, writing jokes. But then once it became kind of competitive and people started coming after you and comments, I don't know. At that time, my mentality as a comic is like, oh, I want everybody to like me. I don't want to have any beef on the internet. So I kind of pulled back, and that really was not great for me. I had to do a lot of catch up. Um, but I think almost in any industry now, they're checking your social media. And trust me, I had friends of mine, both men and women, that when they would leave, uh, their home city, and they would want to go and maybe talk to other people of the opposite sex in other cities, they would just be like, "Oh, well, I don't have social media, so she can't find me." And lately, I've heard people say, if you tell people you don't have social media, you immediately get dragged on the desktop of their mind to the weirdo bin. You got to have some kind of social media, even if you don't post a lot. I just think if you don't have it, people are like, "Oh, you're the serial killer they're looking for." So I think you got to have something in 2025. Not every couple needs to have children. I don't know if that's an unpopular opinion, but it doesn't make it not true. I think there's a lot of couples that do not want children. As somebody who was a middle school teacher for 5 years, I saw couples that had children that sadly didn't want children because you can tell when you love being a parent, you excel at it. You throw yourself into it. You get to know your kid. If you're lucky, not everybody gets dealt that hand. And sometimes, and it's sad because sometimes you could feel like kids know when they're a burden, when parents are trying to shuffle, you need to come get your son. I'm going out tonight. And, the dad's like, well, I can't because tonight's not my night to have. It's like your kid has ears. Your kid knows that both of the two life forms that brought it into this world can't be bothered to hang out with them and they have something they'd rather be doing. I'm not saying parents don't need to go out. Stop it. I get it. Of course, of course, of course. It's natural and healthy. But I think a lot of people have kids because of social pressure and especially it varies between cultures, but a lot of cultural pressure. Like there's a lot of cultures. If you don't have a kid by the time you're 24, auntie's looking at you in the kitchen like, you good? Because I need nieces, nephews, parents need grandkids. But you know what? They may express lament or regret at your decision or even indecision to have children, but that's your decision. And at the end of the day, everybody would love grandkids or nieces or nephews, but all those people get to go home after they're done with the fun part, playing, having cake. You have to stick around for the other 18 years plus. So if that is not something that you are not 100% dedicated to, wait. Don't worry. You can always have kids later. You can adopt later. You can do so much. So do not feel pressure, even though your family's putting on the full court pressure. Moving on. I prefer to listen to the radio over watching TV. I don't know about that. I do kind of like, as somebody that uh, does a lot of podcasts and obviously does stand up, which is theater of the mind. I will say this. when I was on tour, obviously you check into the hotel and there's usually HBO on the package, but it's not HBO that you can stop. And I was telling my girl, I was weirdly getting into the idea of just having to watch a movie when it's on and take it in a different way because you know that you can't pause it. So you pay more attention, you don't scroll as much, you don't get up 5 times, you don't stop watching and pick it up the next day and kind of forget what you I kind of liked watching things in real time. So the radio, especially for a live sporting event, I don't know. I think I could get maybe a little old school with it and maybe just listen to a baseball game and sit on the porch. I'm imagining a life that I don't live and I never will. And this question kind of leans into that one because it says listening to podcasts is more enjoyable than listening to music. Unless you're listening to my album, I would say I agree with this, especially if the podcast is stimulating and talking about something that you're interested in. And I think what we're learning with podcasts is one size does not fit all. And there are podcasts out there that are huge and they talk about a subject that you've never heard about. That's how specific podcasts can be. And I think what we've learned is that people want to tailor their Spotify to what they hear. They want to tailor their podcast. They want to tailor their television packages. These TV packages are like cartels now. Like you sign up with one, you're down with all of them. I'm with the HGTV cartel, and we like to do house flipping shows. Oh, I'm the Disney bundle, ESPN Plus, but because we got kids in this house and a dad that likes sports. So I just think that with everything being almost completely tailor-made to the viewer slash listener, I think podcasts provide a renewable source of stimulation where music, you could be like, oh, I love this song. But like, if you love the song, you probably heard that song a lot. So it's going to be kind of like the law of diminishing returns. So I'm going to agree with that one. This one, I'm not sure about. There's no reason to make your bed every morning. There's always a reason to make your bed. There are periods in my life where I'm making my bed and periods in my life that I'm not. In the periods that I am making my bed, I am effing killing it. Yeah, I'm telling you, like if I highlighted those parts in my life where that means, first of all, I was up in plenty of time to the point where I like just went back in the bedrooms. Like, am I leaving anything? Do I need to do anything? Oh, the bed. If you're not making your bed, that means that you're probably running out of the door while shaving, brushing your teeth while driving, makeup while in the parking lot. And it just means you didn't plan your day well. And your day is going to start off weird. And it's really hard to get your traction after you just like, when you show up to a meeting and you're disheveled and like you sit down and your coworker like has to do your collar because you look like you just got in a fight outside. So I would say, making your bed is a bigger indicator of other things. It's like if your cholesterol number is good. It's not for sure. A lot of that is genetic, but it does mean that you're probably minding what you eat and taking care of yourself physically. So I think the bed is like a symptom of good things popping. All right. This one I guess would be controversial. It says the Star Wars movie series isn't as good as everybody makes it out to be. I it's a cultural marker. It's one of the few things that we have left in our culture that most people have at least heard of. Most people at least know who Darth Vader is. And you can't say that about anything. Have you ever asked somebody what show they're watching and been able to reply with an affirmative answer when they go, "Oh, do you watch Swamp Hustlers? It's on TNT." Nah, I've never heard of. Like we all watch different things, we all listen to different things, and oh, is Winnie giving me the wrap up? It's almost about that time. She is on it. So I think Star Wars does serve a valuable purpose in just giving us all something to talk about. And also, I think Star Wars was ground zero for nerds because it wasn't always cool to go to Comic-Con. There weren't celebrities in there and smoking hot models dressed like Wonder Woman. It used to just be for nerds that loved this action adventure series. They wore Star Wars t-shirts to school. They were not lauded for it. They were attacked for it. And so I want to say, first of all, thank you to the nerds. You guys took all of the brunt for being air quotes nerds and Dungeons and Dragons, but what does every guy do? Oh, I do fantasy football, math. I'm into analytics and baseball, nerd math. I like to break down White Lotus episodes. That sounds like some nerd analysis there. Nerds were doing all of this before it was cool. So I'm going to say to the nerds, I'm going to give an affirmative to Star Wars. First of all, I like Star Wars. My kids, not so much. I didn't realize how slow movies in the late 70s were. I pictured a lot of battles. It's really a lot of older men walking on battleship decks having long conversations, but I digress. I like Star Wars, and you should too. All right, I'm going to sneak this one in before we go. Christmas trees should be real, not fake. This is a tough one because I want to agree with you, but the chances of me getting a real Christmas tree would I, I can't imagine the circumstances in which I'd be like, you know what I want to do right now? It's freezing cold. Let's go out to a dead tree lot and haggle over the price of a tree. But when I get that tree home, I'm happy because I think one of our I don't know, sensory intakes that we really neglect is smell. And a real Christmas tree in a house with wood floors. When you walk in that house and you've been gone for like 6 hours, it just smells like Christmas. I know you can get a candle. I know there's a lot of ways to recreate that, but there's nothing like the the actual act of having a dying tree in your living room. I don't know why it works, but it works. But with that being said, I'm very quick to break out the fake tree, and I can't imagine that's going to change anytime soon. So, with that said, guys, I appreciate you guys tuning in on this Friday. Do me a favor. We are going to start answering your questions because I just don't want to answer generic internet questions. I love it, but I want to talk to you guys. So, I'm going to make a serious request to you. Feel free to remain anonymous, but send us emails if you need any kind of advice. Hopefully not financial, because I probably can help you there. But whether it's romantic, whether it's your next move, should you move for somebody you love, for a job you got offered, all these kinds of things. I love to talk, and I've lived a lot of life, and I'd like to uh, hopefully shed a little bit of light and almost like even if you don't agree with me, I've at least pushed you in a direction where you're like, I don't want to go that direction, so I'll try this one. So let's talk. So you guys send in your questions, your emails to Nick, daytime talk after dark at gmail.com. Send your questions, your emails, whatever to daytime talk after dark, and I will answer them live personally. So with that said, guys, can't you see I'm trying to connect? I'm trying to get closer. That was creepy. All right. Night owls, I love you guys. Enjoy your weekend. Let me know what you guys have going on. I just got some shows, but mostly I'm hanging out and I'm doing what? Not driving, which is a win for me. Thanks.